So it wouldn't be a new year, and particularly a new year, well, a new decade, shall we say, without a potential war going on in the Middle East. And even though there are wars going on as we speak right now in the Middle East, why not add a new one to the mix? Because, of course, Donald Trump has pretty much assassinated one of Iran's top generals. Now, here's the thing that we know at the moment. Despite the Americans putting a spin, saying that this guy was going to, or planning an attack, the evidence of that actually happening was razor thin. Remember, this was the type of stuff that they were saying back to try and justify the Iraq War. And, of course, you won't be too surprised to find that the Conservatives are joining in on this. Why? Because they need a trade deal with Donald Trump, and they want to try and get one as quickly as possible. And of course, what's the best way to get one? Well, why not support Donald in his, shall we say, Middle Eastern escapades, which will be a war with Iran, and will be an absolute catastrophe. Look, this is not Iran. Well, no, sorry, this is not Iraq. This is not Afghanistan. Iran has comparable military weapons to the US. It is pretty much, as described by one former US general, as a natural fortress. One side of the country is protected by a very narrow channel, which, given, again, Iran doesn't have, shall we say, comparable ships to the US Navy, but in that strait, the level of field is now, the playing field is now level. That's what I was trying to say. And you have one side which is covered by heavy mountainous terrain, which basically means the Americans lose their advantage in armor. It will be lots of heavy foot slogging along very narrow mountain passes. The Iranian Air Force is quite big. The other side of Iran, potential invasion route from there, is heavy swampland. So this will be a bloodbath. Not only that, but estimates to actually try and do that put the combined troop force above the combined force they used to invade Afghanistan and Iraq, not to mention the occupation that will ultimately follow as well. So this is something that we should not be anywhere close to be involved with, let alone involved in Iraq and Afghanistan. Quite frankly, we need to get the hell out of there. But our fearless leader, Boris Johnson, desperately wants a trade deal with the US, and of course, as I said, joining in with these Middle East escapades of the Donald might help to smooth that transition. And of course, you won't be surprised, from The Independent, yesterday, Tory Foreign Secretary backs Trump over assassination of Iran military leader in sudden shift from Boris Johnson's government. So the Foreign Secretary has backed Donald Trump's, in quotation marks, right to assassinate Iran's top military general in a marked shift towards supporting the incendiary attack. Dominic Raab has said that the UK understands the position the US found themselves in ahead of the killing of Qasem Soleimani, I think that's how you say it, saying that he had a right to self-defense. Once again, I'd like to remind you all, at the moment, the evidence that he was planning an attack or something like that was razor thin. The shift comes after Mike Pompeo, the US Secretary of State, criticised the UK, France and Germany for failing to be as helpful as I wish that they could be. Raab also declined to criticise the US President's overnight threat to hit 52 of Iran's sites if Tehran retaliates for the assassination, in what would point to hinting at an looming all-out war in the Gulf. He has said that he saw it as the Americans trying to send a very clear message to Tehran that it cannot continue its menacing behaviour. Bear in mind, Donald Trump got rid of the Iran deal, of which Conservative government and members of the current bench, Rab included, said that it would be ridiculous to get rid of that deal because it eliminates all reasons for a potential war. And now you understand why Trump got rid of the deal. So, however, the Foreign Secretary again called for both sides to de-escalate, saying that a war would benefit no one but ISIS, which would exploit the vacuum. Speaking on Sky News, Mr. Rab refused to comment on whether the UK troops in Iraq were being switched from training local forces to force protection because of the heightened threat. He also declined to say whether Britons in the Middle East were now at a greater risk, but confirmed that the military escort of UK shipping in the Gulf had been restored. After whether what the US said was right to carry out that assassination, Mr. Rab said the US will take it on its own operational judgment to call that they have got the right to self-defense. So yeah, again, it's worrying. It's potentially a war scenario that we are looking at. So very soon we could find ourselves pulled into a war because Borris wants his trade deal with Trump.